You know that feeling, right? That confusing, frustrating loop of modern dating where you're just constantly uncertain. You can't quite figure out if someone is actually into you. Okay, let's get into this because it's a feeling that is as old as time, but feels more complicated than ever today.
I mean, you can almost feel the anxiety here, can't you? We're plucking petals, hoping for a loves me, just like people have done for centuries. But now, we're also staring at our phones, doing the exact same thing, waiting for a text back. It's the same old game of needing to know where we stand, just with this digital twist that makes us overthink every word, every emoji, every minute of silence.
And that's the big paradox, isn't it? We have all these ways to be in touch 24/7, yet real, genuine clarity feels harder to find than ever before. So what is going on? Why do we keep finding ourselves chasing after people who just leave us feeling insecure and totally confused? Well, here's the thing. The answer, it isn't really about them. It's about us. We chase because of these really deep-seated beliefs and patterns, stuff we might not even know is there. So let's really get into the psychology behind this whole frustrating pursuit. Okay, so at the absolute heart of the chase is this one core idea, that love is some kind of prize that has to be won, that it has to be earned, not just freely given. And when we think that way, people who are elusive or unavailable suddenly become this massive challenge. Their distance makes us think, wow, they must be really special, and we feel like we have to work even harder to get their affection. So here's a really powerful tool you can use. The next time you find yourself spiraling, chasing someone, just pause for a second and ask yourself this one simple question. How old do I feel right now? Seriously, do you feel like a capable, confident adult? Or do you feel like a small kid just desperately trying to get a parent's attention? That feeling is often a huge clue that we're reacting from an old wound, not what's happening in the present. And that feeling, well, it leads us right to this core psychological idea called repetition compulsion. It sounds complicated, but it basically means we get stuck on our old wounds and we unconsciously seek out people and situations that feel just like those old pains. We keep recreating these dynamics, hoping that this time we'll finally get it right, we'll finally win and heal that original hurt. To put it another way, listen to this quote because it's so on point. You're going to date the parts of you that haven't been healed. Think about that. You're not actually chasing this new person, you're often chasing a ghost from your past. So if you had a parent who was emotionally distant, you might be drawn to partners who are also distant, because on some level your nervous system recognizes that dynamic. It feels familiar. It feels like home, even if it's a painful home. You're trying to get this new person to finally give you the love you never got, to rewrite that old story. So how in the world do we break out of this cycle? Well, the goodness is, there's a really clear framework for getting back in the driver's seat. It's a three-part model: your state, your story, and your strategy. It's all about moving from that unconscious reaction to making a conscious choice. Let's see how it works. It all starts with your state. We're talking about your nervous system's state. Are you feeling calm and regulated, or are you feeling anxious and all over the place? Because that state is what then determines the story you tell yourself about what's happening. And finally, that story is what determines your strategy, the actions you end up taking. And just look at the massive difference here. On the left, when you're in that dysregulated state, panicking because they haven't texted back, your world feels chaotic. The story in your head becomes, I'm not good enough, and your strategy is something desperate, like texting them again and again. But on the right, when you're regulated, when you're calm, you can actually think clearly. You can tell yourself a different story, one that says, I can handle this feeling. Their response doesn't define me. And then you can choose a strategy that actually protects your peace and your dignity. Okay, so we've done the internal work. Now let's talk about the external signals. Getting control back also means learning to be a good observer of people's behavior, instead of just getting lost in the hope of who they could be. Here's a quick toolkit for spotting those red flags right away. These are some of the classics. I mean, if someone tells you all their exes are crazy, that is a huge, flashing red light for a total lack of self-awareness. Or what about when they say you deserve better? Believe them. They're basically telling you, I'm not going to be what you need. And pay really close attention to what happens when you set a boundary. If they push back or get weird, that tells you everything you need to know about their respect for you. All right, now this next point, this might just blow your mind a little, but it is so important. We've been taught our whole lives that those intense butterflies in your stomach are the ultimate sign of chemistry, right? But that feeling is very often your nervous system screaming that something feels familiar in an unsafe way. It's an anxiety response, not a sign of true love. It's your body saying, hey, this chaos feels familiar, and you might need to get out of here.
So, what is the ultimate solution here? What does this all boil down to? It's this: learning to advocate for yourself. It's about shifting your entire focus from trying to win their approval to honoring your own feelings and your own needs. This right here is the fundamental mindset shift. On the left, we've got the old question we've been asking forever. Do they like me? Do they choose me? But the empowered position on the right is to ask a totally different question. It's an internal check-in. How do I feel in my body when I'm around this person? Do I feel safe? Do I feel calm? Or do I feel anxious and small?
It's really time we reframe the goal. A lot of us chase that chaotic roller coaster, and we mistake all that drama for passion. But that's not love, that's just anxiety and inconsistency. A truly healthy, secure connection feels more like a calm, flowing river. It's consistent, it's safe, and yeah, it might even feel a little boring at first if you're used to chaos. But that boring is actually the feeling of safety.
And this is the core fear, isn't it? This is the reason we don't set boundaries. It's why we don't ask for what we really need. We are terrified that if we show up as our true selves and advocate for what we want, the other person will just walk away. But here's the powerful counter question. If you're in a relationship where you have to silence yourself, where you have to abandon your own needs and constantly walk on eggshells, aren't you already alone? That kind of loneliness, the loneliness of leaving yourself behind, is often so much worse than the fear of actually being left by someone else.
And this brings us right to the foundation of everything. The goal is to build your own self-worth up so strong that, just like the quote says, your love for yourself becomes greater than your need to be loved by anyone else. It's about knowing, deep down, that no matter what happens, you have your own back.
So let's end with this thought. What if we just flip the entire script on dating? What if the point isn't to play some game to see who will pick you? What if, instead, dating is a practice in learning how to pick yourself over and over and over again? Because that's not just how you stop chasing the wrong people. It's how you build a life where the right people can finally find you.